At 3:17 p.m., a principal signs a form that will not just end his career, it will end his freedom. He does it to expel an honor roll student, to ruin her life, all because she saw something she was never meant to see. But there's a problem, a very big problem he doesn't know about. That student's last name is Seagal, and her father is on his way. The last bell's mournful echo still drifted through the shadow-choked halls of Lincoln High as Principal Martin sat at his polished desk. His pen, a heavy gold-plated instrument, hovered over a form. One signature. That's all it would take to sign away not just his career, but his carefully cultivated reputation, and, though he was blissfully unaware, his very freedom. He etched his name, a faint smirk playing on his lips, sealing the fate of an innocent honor roll kid, kicking her to the curb as if she were nothing more than a discarded wrapper. And why? Because she saw something she absolutely wasn't supposed to see. But here's the real kicker. The twist that would unravel his meticulously ordered world. That kid's last name? It's Seagal. And in less than 24 hours, her dad, that's Steven Seagal, is going to walk through those double doors. He won't be asking for a meeting or a gentle discussion. He'll be asking the principal one very simple question, with 7 very hard knuckles. So, you'd better stick around. Because the moment he steps foot on that campus, every single rule in the handbook is about to be rewritten, not in pencil, but in bone-rattling permanent ink. It's going to be a lesson no one at Lincoln High will ever forget. Sarah Seagal. She's the kind of student principals dream of, the one they feature prominently in glossy fundraising brochures. We're talking a pristine 4.2 GPA, the undisputed captain of the debate team, and a regular volunteer at the local animal shelter every single weekend. And somehow she still manages to carve out time to patiently teach her grandmother the latest TikTok dances. Teachers absolutely adore her. Her essays are quoted as examples, her insights valued. Colleges? They're practically flooding her inbox with scholarship offers and acceptance letters. Other kids? They don't just copy her notes, they treat them like holy scripture, believing a touch of Sarah's brilliance might rub off. She's the golden child, the shining example of everything Lincoln High claims to stand for. But beneath that polished facade, Lincoln High harbors a festering problem, one far more insidious than recurring budget cuts or the perpetual staleness of cafeteria pizza. His name is Vice Principal Hayes. Hayes isn't just in charge of the discipline committee. He runs it like his own private fiefdom, a shadowy kingdom where detention slips are the primary currency, and fear is the hefty tax he collects from everyone, students and staff alike. For years, hushed whispers have circulated among parents. Hushed stories about missing field trip money, about transcripts that seemed to mysteriously alter themselves, and about security camera footage that had an uncanny habit of glitching whenever his office door was firmly shut. Nobody dared to speak up, not really. The fear of Hayes's retaliation, of him somehow impacting their child's future, was a powerful deterrent. And Principal Martin? Well, he's perfectly content to remain in the dark, thank you very much. Less work for him, more uninterrupted time for his golf game. He prefers blissful ignorance, allowing Hayes to manage the messier aspects of school administration. It's a convenient arrangement, a silent pact of complacency. So when Sarah, with her unerring moral compass, stumbles upon a meticulously organized spreadsheet, a digital ledger that clearly shows $10,000 siphoned directly from the senior trip fund and funneled straight into an offshore account bearing Hayes's distinct initials, she doesn't hesitate. She does what any straight-arrow, honor-bound kid would do. She takes a screenshot, emails it to herself as a safeguard, and with a determined glint in her eye, marches straight toward the main office, ready to hand over the damning evidence and expose the rot within. Sarah never even made it to the main office. Hayes, with an almost predatory instinct, intercepts her in the bustling hallway, his smile a thin, unsettling line. One hastily fabricated truancy right up later, and Sarah finds herself unceremoniously dragged into a closed-door disciplinary hearing. No parent present, no advocate, just her against the chilling authority of Hayes and the detached indifference of Principal Martin. Hayes, a master of manipulation, flashes a doctored security photo, a grainy, pixelated image that, to the untrained eye, appears to show Sarah illicitly hacking into a school computer. Martin, half listening, his mind already drifting to his next tea time, and fully annoyed by the interruption to his quiet afternoon, signs the suspension extension without a single question, without a flicker of doubt. His signature is a mere formality, a rubber stamp on Hayes's manufactured narrative. When Sarah, her voice trembling but resolute, refuses to delete the real screenshot, the undeniable proof of Hayes's corruption, he ups the ante, his eyes glinting with a cold, calculated menace. Permanent expulsion, the fabricated charge, repeated academic dishonesty. The unspoken translation is chillingly clear. She knows where the bodies are buried, and he intends to bury her right alongside them. She's a loose end, a threat to his carefully constructed empire of deceit, and he means to snip her off permanently. They confiscate her phone, wiping it clean of any evidence, though they're unaware of the backups she'd already sent. Then, with a chilling efficiency, they escort her off campus, her backpack feeling impossibly heavy, her dignity stripped away. The entire student body watches, their faces pressed against the cafeteria windows, a silent, stunned audience to her public humiliation. The whisper campaign begins immediately, a venomous, insidious hum. Guess Sarah wasn't so perfect after all. It slithers through the halls, poisoning her reputation, ensuring her isolation. Her world, once so bright and promising, crumbles around her, leaving her exposed and vulnerable. Steven Seagal is miles away, deep in the rugged heart of Montana, on a sprawling film set. He's in his element, choreographing a complex fight scene that involves a galloping horse, two highly trained stuntmen, and, for reasons known only to the scriptwriter, a large bag of flour. It's a long story, but it's his story. He's got that zen calm thing going, a quiet intensity that radiates from him. Slow, measured breathing, a faint, almost imperceptible half-smile, and eyes that seem to be 2 moves ahead of everyone else, already anticipating, already calculating. He's a master of controlled chaos, a serene force in the midst of a whirlwind. Then his phone rings. It's Sarah. Her shaky, fragmented voicemail cuts through his carefully constructed calm like a razor. "Dad," she whispers, her voice barely audible, thick with unshed tears and a profound sense of betrayal. "They're saying I cheated. I didn't. They're scared of something I saw." Click. The line goes dead, leaving a deafening silence in its wake. Steven doesn't call back. He doesn't text. He doesn't even blink. He simply folds the phone shut, the small device disappearing into the palm of his hand, a silent, almost imperceptible gesture. He looks up, his gaze meeting the stunt coordinators. His voice, when it comes, is soft, utterly devoid of emotion, yet it carries an undeniable weight, a chilling finality. "Pack my bag," he says, his eyes still holding that distant, calculating look. "I've got a disciplinary matter to attend to." No yelling, no cursing, no theatrical outburst, just that soft, matter-of-fact tone, the kind that makes seasoned stunt guys suddenly remember they left the stove on somewhere, or perhaps a small, urgent task they need to attend to immediately, far, far away from whatever is about to unfold. The air on set, already tense, now crackles with an unspoken understanding. Something significant has just shifted, and the calm is about to give way to a storm. The next afternoon, a sleek black SUV, its tinted windows reflecting the harsh midday sun, rolls with deliberate purpose into the faculty parking lot of Lincoln High. The Montana plates are a stark contrast to the local vehicles, a silent declaration of its foreign origin. Its tires, massive and aggressive, look like they've chewed asphalt for breakfast, ready for whatever terrain lies ahead. Out steps Steven, He's dressed in his signature style, the iconic ponytail, a sharp blazer over dark jeans, and boots that click with a rhythmic, almost menacing precision against the pavement, like a metronome counting down somebody's very last breath. He's not just walking. He's an advancing force, a presence that warps the air around him. He doesn't bother checking in at reception. There's no need. He glides past the metal detectors, those supposedly impenetrable barriers parting for him as effortlessly as saloon doors in an old Western movie. His gaze, unblinking and unwavering, sweeps across the bustling hallway, taking everything in. He pauses briefly at the trophy case, his eyes settling on the Principal of the Year plaque, featuring Martin's glossy, self-satisfied grin, a quiet, almost imperceptible shake of his head. A silent judgment has been passed. Then, without breaking stride, he continues his relentless, unhurried advance, each click of his boots resonating with an undeniable sense of impending consequence. He is here, and everything is about to change. Principal Martin is mid-sip of lukewarm coffee, contemplating the dwindling hours until he can escape to the golf course, when his office door swings open with a soft, ominous creak. Steven doesn't knock. He simply enters, his presence immediately shrinking the room, filling it with an unyielding quietude. He sets a thin manila folder on the desk with a precise, almost surgical movement, then opens it. From within, he slides a single sheet of paper forward, pushing it gently across the polished surface until it rests directly in front of Martin's wide, suddenly terrified eyes. It's a printout of the offshore account details, meticulously time-stamped, IP traced, and notarized by a federal cyber crimes agent, a buddy who it seems owes Steven a rather significant favor. Martin blinks, his face suddenly slick with sweat, the lukewarm coffee forgotten. His carefully constructed composure shatters. "I don't know what you're—" he stammers, his voice a pathetic, reedy squeak. Steven raises one finger, not a karate chop. Not a threatening fist, just a single, unadorned finger. It's a gesture of quiet, absolute authority, a silent command that brooks no argument. Enough. His voice is low, a rumble that vibrates through the room. "My daughter has been wronged. You will fix it, or I escalate." The words hang in the air, cold and sharp, a promise of inevitable, unpleasant consequences. Just then, Vice Principal Hayes, who had been shamelessly eavesdropping outside the door, bursts in, his chest puffed out, badge first. He clearly believes he's walking into a situation he can control. "This is a secure campus," he barks, his voice laced with false bravado, trying to reassert his rapidly diminishing authority. "You can't intimidate staff." Steven's smile is almost polite, a thin, dangerous curve of his lips. His eyes, however, remain utterly devoid of warmth. "Intimidation is loud," he corrects Hayes, his voice still soft, almost conversational. "I'm quiet. You'll see the difference. It's not a threat. It's a statement of fact, a chilling preview of the inevitable." Hayes, for the first time, feels a prickle of genuine fear. That night, the district boardroom, usually a sterile, hushed chamber, buzzes with a nervous energy. An emergency session has been hastily convened. Steven sits beside Sarah, who, thanks to his initial quiet intervention, has been reinstated pending a full review. She looks pale, but resolute, a silent testament to the injustice she endured. The board members, a collection of local dignitaries and educators, eye Steven with a mixture of apprehension and forced politeness. He doesn't waste time with pleasantries. He produces a thumb drive, a small, unassuming device that holds the power to dismantle careers and reputations. He plugs it into the large monitor at the head of the table. What follows is a methodical, devastating presentation of irrefutable evidence. First, the original screenshot of the offshore account, metadata intact, proving its authenticity and Hayes' direct involvement. Next, a video, discreetly filmed by another student, showing Hayes roughly grabbing Sarah's backpack, his face contorted in a sneer as he intercepts her in the hallway. The board members shift uncomfortably, their expressions growing increasingly uneasy. And then, the kill shot, an audio recording, clear as a bell, of Hayes boasting to a colleague about teaching nosy kids a lesson, his voice dripping with arrogance and contempt. The board members go sheet white, their faces drained of color, their forced smiles replaced by expressions of shock and dawning horror. The sheer audacity, the blatant corruption, is undeniable. One of them, a former Marine with a stern, no-nonsense demeanor, actually leans forward, his voice gruff but sincere, and thanks Steven for his restraint thus far. It's a loaded compliment, acknowledging the latent power Steven holds and the terrifying alternative to his current controlled approach. Hayes, seeing his world crumble around him, makes a desperate dash for the fire exit, his face contorted in a mask of panic. But it's no use. The sheriff's deputy, who had been quietly parked outside the school since Steven's arrival, steps in, blocking his escape. Hayes's frantic attempt is met with a calm, firm hand on his arm. He has other plans for the vice principal, plans that involve a much less comfortable setting than a school boardroom. By sunrise, the story has exploded. Local news choppers buzz like angry hornets over Lincoln High, their blades whipping the dawn air. The hashtag #AllLincolnLaundering trends nationwide, a digital wildfire spreading the scandal across every screen. Sponsors, quick to distance themselves from the stench of corruption, pull their funding, leaving the district in a financial freefall. The superintendent, a man who once prided himself on his unflappable demeanor, holds a tearful, hastily arranged press conference, promising sweeping reforms and unprecedented accountability, his words ringing hollow in the face of such blatant malfeasance. Students, empowered by Sarah's courage and Steven's unwavering stand, stage a massive sit-in, transforming the school's quad into a vibrant, defiant protest. Someone, with a keen eye for branding and a rebellious spirit, starts selling T-shirts emblazoned with the defiant slogan, "Seagal said knock you out." They sell out by lunch, a symbol of a community galvanized by justice. Hayes is cuffed mid-class, right in front of his bewildered civics students, a moment of poetic, if brutal, justice. The charges are numerous and damning: fraud, intimidation, and tampering with a minor's academic records. Bail is denied. The judge, citing Hayes's desperate attempt to flee the previous night, declares him a clear flight risk. His carefully constructed web of power and deceit has unraveled completely, leaving him exposed and utterly ruined. The whispers that once surrounded him have now become a deafening roar of condemnation. Principal Martin, ever the opportunist, tries desperately to play the "I was misled" card, attempting to paint himself as an unwitting victim of Hayes's machinations. But the truth, as it often does, finds a way to surface. A trove of leaked emails unearthed by an anonymous source, perhaps one of Sarah's tech-savvy classmates or a disgruntled former staff member, paints a far different picture. These damning communications clearly show that Martin not only approved every single one of Hayes's questionable disciplinary actions, but did so in exchange for free rounds at a prestigious private golf club. His precious golf game, it turns out, was more important than the well-being and integrity of his students. The school board, reeling from the public outcry and facing immense pressure, votes unanimously to terminate his employment. His teaching license, a hard-won credential, is revoked statewide, effectively ending his career in education. There's nowhere left for him to hide. Reporters, a ravenous pack sensing blood in the water, corner him in the parking lot, their microphones thrust aggressively into his face. He stammers, his voice cracking. "I've always had the students' best interests at heart." His words are met with derision, not sympathy. A sophomore, emboldened by the recent events, steps forward, her voice clear and strong amidst the cacophony. "Then why'd you let them trash Sarah's future for a tea time?" she shouts, the question a sharp, undeniable truth. It's a mic drop moment, a brutal and fitting end to a career built on complacency and self-interest. Martin shrinks, defeated, his carefully constructed world irrevocably shattered. Steven doesn't gloat. There's no need. His work is done, and justice, in its own quiet way, has been served. He walks Sarah back to class, his imposing figure a silent, reassuring presence, her backpack slung casually over his shoulder like a bodyguard. As they move through the now hushed hallways, students part like the Red Sea, their faces a mixture of awe and respect. The whispers are different now, no longer malicious, but reverent. One kid, bolder than the rest, asks for an autograph. Steven, with a faint, knowing smile, obliges, signing the inside cover of a history textbook. His message is simple, profound, and etched in permanent ink. Truth always wins. Stay sharp. SS. That afternoon, the district, facing a mountain of public scrutiny and legal threats, hires an outside ethics firm, a team of sharp-eyed auditors tasked with meticulously reviewing every single disciplinary case for the past 5 years. The findings are staggering. 112 overturned suspensions, 73 expunged records. Kids once unfairly labeled troublemakers suddenly receive official apology letters and cleared transcripts. Their futures, once clouded by injustice, now bright with possibility. It's a quiet revolution, a systemic cleansing, all sparked by one father's unwavering refusal to let his daughter be wronged. The ripple effect of Steven Seagal's presence is felt far beyond Sarah's immediate case, reshaping the very fabric of justice within the school system. The colleges that had so hastily rescinded their offers, they come calling again, their admissions departments suddenly very eager to re-engage, offering full rides and apologies. Sarah, with a newfound maturity and a quiet strength, politely listens to each one. Then, one by one, she declines every single offer. Her path has shifted. Instead, she applies to a university renowned for its robust journalism program, a place where the pursuit of truth is not just an academic exercise, but a calling. She's developed a taste for exposing corruption now, a keen eye for injustice, and she likes the flavor of it, the satisfying tang of holding power accountable. Steven, ever the dad, just nods, a flicker of pride in his eyes. His advice is succinct, profound, and perfectly in character. "World needs more light," he says, his voice a low rumble. "Go blind the cockroaches." It's an endorsement, a blessing, and a quiet acknowledgement of the formidable young woman his daughter has become. If this story, this journey from injustice to reckoning, fired you up, if it made your blood pump a little faster, then don't just sit there. Drop a comment below, tell me where you're watching from, and share who you wish had your back when the system, in its infinite bureaucracy, inevitably failed. Hit that like button like it owes you money. Sarah's watching, and she deserves to know her story resonates. And if you're craving more justice-served tales, stories that hit harder than a roundhouse kick and leave you feeling empowered, then do yourself a favor. Subscribe now so you absolutely don't miss the next one. We're just getting started. One signature. That's all it took to almost ruin a kid's life, to snuff out her future before it even had a chance to truly begin. But then, one father's arrival, quiet yet undeniably powerful, rewrote not just his daughter's future, but the entire school's. Remember this: authority without accountability isn't leadership. It's just bullying in a necktie, a dangerous abuse of power. And when the very people we trust to educate and protect our children become the most potent lesson in what not to become, someone's bound to step up. Sometimes it's in cowboy boots, sometimes it's with a badge, and sometimes it's with nothing more than a simple screenshot and an unshakable refusal to stay quiet. So, the next time you witness injustice, big or small, don't be the one who looks away. Be the quiet one who doesn't back down, the one who holds the line, because you never truly know whose dad, or mom, or friend, or even just a determined stranger might be walking through that door behind you, ready to ask a very simple question with 7 very hard knuckles.